We don't need any more nigger big shots. We already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shots. We said, quote, we already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shots. And the court cited evidence of discriminatory intent on the part of other legislators, including the representative who testified at the court hearing, that there were legislators, quote, who don't feel they wanted to have a district that would be able to elect a black. Confidential portions of your staff memo, they brought to your attention the allegation that important legislators in defeating the Nunes plan in the basement said, quote, we already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shots. And the court cited evidence of discriminatory intent on the part of other legislators, including the representative who testified at the court hearing, that there were legislators, quote, who don't feel they wanted to have a district that would be able to elect a black.
Fighting against this notion that you're not black enough unless you think a certain way, you vote a certain way, you speak a certain way, you do certain things. My whole life, I grew up military, pretty much neutral along the zone of can we all just get along no matter what we look like. I have biracial daughters, Melissa, you know them. This is more than just a little offensive. It is short-sighted. It is a blind spot. But, you know, I think this says it better. It is Black Voices for Trump and their statement. I'm just going to read the first couple of sentences. White liberal elitists have continuously dictated which Black Americans are allowed to come to the table and have a voice. It is clear now more than ever, following these racist and dehumanizing remarks, that Joe Biden believes Black men and women are incapable of being independent or free-thinking. He truly believes that a 77-year-old white man should dictate how Black people should behave. Biden has a history of racial condescension, and today he once again proved that a growing number of Black Americans, and I have always known Joe Biden does not deserve our votes. That's Katrina Pearson, Trump 2020 senior advisor. You don't have to be any particular race to know when someone puts you down because you're different.
Committee will please come to order. Judge, it's a tough day and tough night for you, I know.
Committee and this body validated it and displayed it at prime time over our entire nation. How would any member on this committee, any person in this room, or any person in this country would like sleaze said about him or her in this fashion, or this dirt dredged up, and this gossip and these lies displayed in this manner? How would any person like it? The Supreme Court is not worth it. No job is worth it. I'm not here for that. I'm here for my name, my family, my life, and my integrity. I think something is dreadfully wrong with this country when any person in this free country would be subjected to this. This is not a closed room. There was an FBI investigation. This is not an opportunity to talk about difficult matters privately or in a closed environment. This is a circus. It's a national disgrace. And from my standpoint, as a Black American, as far as I'm concerned, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity Blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, to do for themselves, to have different ideas. And it is a message that unless you kowtow to an old order, this is what will happen to you. You will be lynched, destroyed, caricatured by a committee of the U.S. Senate rather than hung from a tree.
Look at their budget and what they're proposing. Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
I was under constant attack. You're not really Black because you're not doing what we expect Black people to do.
I will nominate Judge Clarence Thomas to serve as Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
That's when all heck broke loose.
Judge Thomas began to use work situations to discuss sex.
We know exactly what's going on here. This is the wrong black guy. He has to be destroyed. He really didn't matter. What mattered was what they wanted.
So you'd still like to serve on the Supreme Court?
I'd rather die than withdraw from the process.
So if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
That is the most arrogant, condescending comment I've heard in a very long time, and that's saying something. The man who sponsored and led the charge on the 1990s crime bill that locked up more African-American males than any other piece of legislation, and President Trump comes along and through his criminal justice reform corrects the absolute mistakes made by Joe Biden. For him to make such an arrogant, ridiculous comment to, if you think about the numbers, 1.3 million African Americans voted for Trump. He's saying to 1.3 million African Americans that you're not black? Who in the heck does he...
Vice President Biden, with all due respect, your latest comments are both pathetic and hurtful. Your quote, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, you ain't black. Well, I think that in civil discourse, we can have our disagreements on politics. But you challenging me and millions of other people out there on their blackness, descendants of slaves, from you, is some seriously condescending, out of touch bullcrap. You're embarrassing yourself, Mr. Vice President. Should you even be running for president in the Democratic Party that says they're for black people? Do you really believe that black people are owned by the Democratic Party? Do you really believe that a black person who doesn't vote for you is therefore not legitimately black? Have you forgotten the Republican Party was started in opposition for a Democratic Party that thought it was okay to own people? I am a man, Mr. Vice President. Too many people have died for me to have the right to think and vote for myself. But I wonder if Senator Peters agrees with me. I bet he does. When I get the chance to debate him, I think I'll ask.